We would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which we meet to share these conversations on the Vegan Compass podcast.
We extend our respect to elders past and present, as well as any of our listeners and guests. Hello and welcome to the Vegan Compass podcast, unveiling truths, inspiring change. We are your hosts, Rick Allport and Mackenzie Cross.
From wherever you're listening, please be sure to like and subscribe to support this podcast. Now to the episode.
Welcome to the Vegan Compass podcast News of the Week, where we navigate the ever-evolving landscape of animal rights, ethical living, and the journey toward a vegan world. I'm Mackenzie Cross.
And I'm Rick Allport. Today we're diving into some heated stories that highlight both challenges and wins for animal rights and vegan progress. Let's start with the latest legal tussle between Oatly and the UK's dairy industry.
The UK's Court of Appeal has ruled that Oatly can't use the word milk in their marketing. Apparently, milk belongs strictly to animal-derived products.
Yeah, because someone's definitely picking up oat milk thinking it came from a cow. Come on.
Right? Dairy UK claims that this is about avoiding consumer confusion, but let's be real, it's about protecting big dairy. Oatly's general manager Brian Carroll called this a cynical attempt to stifle competition, and he's spot on.
Absolutely. This isn't just happening in the UK. France, Poland, and even Thailand have tried to ban terms like patties or sausages for vegan products, but thankfully the respective authorities shut that down.
It's frustrating for vegan product manufacturers. Consumers aren't confused. They're choosing these products because they want better options.
Exactly. Big dairy is clinging to outdated semantics instead of innovating. But here's the truth. Consumers are shifting, and no court ruling can stop the rise of vegan products.
Oatly's message is louder than ever. We are the post-milk generation, and change is happening whether big dairy likes it or not. Speaking of plant milks, let's talk about the latest innovation shaking up the dairy aisle, pecan milk. Yes, you heard that right. Pecans are stepping into the spotlight.
And it's not just about taste. Though honestly, who doesn't love pecans? Laura Schenker, founder of PKN, the world's first pecan milk brand, is positioning pecans as a more sustainable alternative to almond and oat milk.
That's right. Pecans are America's only indigenous commercial tree nut, and they require far less water than almonds. Get this, almonds alone use more than 10% of California's water supply. Meanwhile, pecans are resilient, drought-tolerant, and don't need irrigation or pesticides to thrive.
It's a win for sustainability, and pecans bring some serious health benefits to the table too. They're packed with antioxidants, flavonoids for brain health, and omega-3 fats. I mean, we're talking about a tree nut that's as good for your body as it is for the planet.
Schenker also focused on reducing food waste by upcycling pecan pieces to make the milk, which helps farmers and keeps costs lower for consumers. It's such a smart, eco-friendly approach.
Plus, they've perfected the taste. It's creamy, rich, and perfect for lattes. Their barista blend took 18 months to develop, and it froths like a dream. That's huge for coffee lovers around the world.
And what's really exciting is PKN's future plans. They're working on integrating other native plants into their products. Think natural sweeteners, proteins, and calcium sources, while staying true to their ethos.
It's a great example of innovation in the vegan market. Pecan milk is proving that there's room for even more diversity in the plant milk sector.
Absolutely. As water scarcity becomes a bigger issue, sustainable options like pecan milk are going to be key. Now, changing tune, this is an idea I can get behind. PETA is proposing to turn a closed Tyson meat plant in Kansas into an animal empathy museum and vegan cafe.
I love this. Tyson is closing the facility in February, and instead of it just sitting empty, PETA wants to use it to teach people about the intelligence and sociability of cows and pigs. It's about showing them as individuals, not products.
Ingrid Newkirk from PETA said it could also create new jobs for workers who are being displaced and boost tourism in the area. Plus, they'd serve vegan food, even using products from Tyson's own plant-based line, Raised and Rooted.
That's brilliant. It highlights how companies like Tyson can pivot toward a cruelty-free future. But let's not forget, Newkirk made it clear Tyson has a lot to answer for when it comes to animal welfare abuses in their facilities.
Right? And honestly, the museum could be a powerful space for people to confront the realities of where their food comes from. Imagine seeing old meat grinders and equipment used in slaughterhouses repurposed to tell the stories of animals.
It's thought-provoking for sure. This isn't just about education, it's about empathy. And empathy is what drives change.
Exactly. I really hope Tyson takes this idea seriously. It's a chance to turn something devastating into something hopeful and transformative.
Agreed. Fingers crossed, Peter gets the green light on this one.
Now, let's talk about the battery cage phase-out in Western Australia. While it's being celebrated as a win for animal welfare, it's really not enough. The new rules ban installing battery cages, but existing ones can stay in place until 2032. That's another 8 years of cruelty for hens.
Exactly, and here's the reality. This phase-out doesn't mean hens will suddenly live happy lives. The alternatives, like cage-free barns, still confine pens in overcrowded, stressful conditions. Sure, they can perch and scratch a bit more, but they're still treated like egg-producing machines.
It's a step forward, but it's far from the solution. We need to stop pretending that slightly better cages are progress. The real solution is to end all forms of animal agriculture. Hens deserve freedom, not bigger cages or barns.
Absolutely. There's no ethical way to exploit animals. Ending battery cages is just one step, but the ultimate goal is to be the end of animal agriculture altogether. Until then, hens, and all farmed animals, will continue to suffer. If we really care about animal welfare, the message is clear. Stop supporting these industries. Choose plant-based options and stand against the exploitation of sentient beings. It's the only way forward.
A kangaroo hopping through a Bunnings in Albany might seem like a funny story, but the reality is far from amusing. Habitat destruction, largely driven by animal agriculture and urban sprawl, is forcing native wildlife into commercial and urban areas.
Absolutely. As WA Wildlife pointed out, kangaroos are losing their grassy plains and forests due to relentless clearing for livestock grazing and human expansion. With nowhere left to go, they're entering urban spaces in search of food and shelter.
This isn't just about kangaroos. Koalas, birds, and other wildlife are increasingly displaced and vulnerable. It's heartbreaking to see animals forced into dangerous environments because their natural homes have been destroyed.
The solution is simple but urgent. We need to stop clearing land for animal agriculture. Shifting to plant-based diets reduces the demand for grazing land and feed crops, giving wildlife a chance to reclaim their habitats.
Right? Seeing kangaroos in stores shouldn't make us laugh. It should make us stop and think. We need to protect their homes, not just react when they're forced into ours. Dreamworld's decision to stop direct human interaction with their tigers might seem like progress, but it's still not enough. Keeping wild animals in captivity, no matter how large the enclosure, is inherently cruel.
Tigers don't belong in theme parks. They belong in the wild, living out their natural behaviours, roaming, hunting, and raising their young. What Dreamworld has done is simply a PR-friendly adjustment, but it doesn't address the root problem.
Forcing tigers to interact with humans, pose for photos, or perform tricks is completely unnatural. It stresses them out and strips them of their autonomy. These animals are denied the life they deserve.
And let's not forget, captivity often leads to psychological trauma. Tigers can develop repetitive behaviours known as zoocrosis because their natural instincts are suppressed.
Exactly. Dreamworld claims it's prioritising safety, but the safest place for tigers is not behind fences, it's in protected natural habitats. Instead of displaying animals for profit, resources should be going into conservation efforts that truly protect these species.
We need to ask ourselves, are we really educating people by locking animals up and turning them into tourist attractions? The answer is no. True education comes from understanding their role in the ecosystem and fighting to preserve their habitats.
Well said, Rick. Captivity is not conservation, and it's certainly not kindness. Now, here's some genuinely uplifting news. Quokkas, the adorable marsupials known for their smiles, have been spotted in Western Australia's Perth Hills for the first time in decades.
This is a major win for conservation. Quokkas have faced huge declines due to habitat loss, predation by foxes, and land clearing for animal agriculture and mining. To see them returning to mainland habitats is a positive step forward.
Absolutely. But this doesn't mean they're out of danger. Human interference remains a big concern. We've seen what happened with quokkas on Rottnest Island. They became tourist props for selfies, which is completely unacceptable.
Exactly. Human interaction must be limited to protection and conservation efforts, not entertainment. The focus should be on safeguarding their habitats and ensuring they thrive naturally.
This discovery is proof that with proper habitat restoration and humane predator control, vulnerable species can make a comeback. It's a reminder of what's possible when we prioritise wildlife protection. Now for a truly disturbing story, one that highlights the horrors of animal cruelty and the hypocrisy in our legal system. A man in Western Australia was sentenced to just 8 months in jail for deliberately running over calves, killing at least 8 of them.
It's absolutely horrific. He laughed as he targeted these terrified 3-month-old calves. The footage, recorded by a passenger, showed him accelerating towards them without remorse, and yet he could be eligible for parole in as little as 2 months.
2 months? That's pathetic. How is this justice for such a violent, sadistic act? The court called it callous, but the sentence hardly reflects the severity of the crime.
And here's the bigger hypocrisy. These calves were destined for slaughter anyway. The same legal system that punishes this man allows millions of calves to be killed in slaughterhouses every year. The violence is systemic.
The outrage here is justified, but it's incomplete. If we truly care about animal cruelty, we can't turn a blind eye to what's happening in animal agriculture. Killing is killing, whether it's done for fun or for profit.
Well said. If this case upsets people, it should also make them question the industries they support. The calves who survive deserve better, and all animals deserve freedom from this violence.
Justice for animals starts with us. Rejecting systems of exploitation and living vegan is an impactful way to create a more just world.
Absolutely. And that's what this podcast is all about, shining a light on these injustices and offering solutions to end them.
As we wrap up today's episode, let's talk about Consider the Turkey, the latest book from Australian philosopher and animal rights advocate Peter Singer. Singer, of course, is famous for his book Animal Liberation, which has shaped the animal rights movement for decades.
His new book takes aim at the treatment of turkeys during the festive season. And let me warn you, it's not easy reading. Singer doesn't hold back in describing the cruelty turkeys endure, from being forcibly inseminated to having their beaks and toes cut off without anesthesia.
It's a harrowing reminder of what happens behind the scenes. These intelligent social animals spend their short lives in filthy, overcrowded sheds, often unable to move without stepping on other turkeys. Many suffer from deformities, sores, and unimaginable pain before being slaughtered.
Singer's message is that the suffering these animals experience is morally indefensible, and he points out the hypocrisy of traditions like the US president pardoning one turkey at Thanksgiving while millions of others are killed.
The book doesn't just confront us with facts, it challenges us to rethink our choices. If people truly understood the horror behind their holiday meals, many would, as Singer says, know it's wrong without needing further argument.
Singer also includes practical solutions, like vegan festive recipes, to help readers take action. We can celebrate traditions without contributing to animal suffering.
Well said, Rick. If you're looking for a thought-provoking read this holiday season, Consider the Turkey is one book that might just change the way you see the holidays.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of The Vegan Compass.
Thanks for joining us as we explore the challenges, wins, and opportunities in the fight for animal rights. Remember, every choice you make has the power to create change.
Until next time, stay compassionate, stay informed, and keep fighting for a kinder world.
Thanks for listening to the Vegan Compass podcast, unveiling truths, inspiring change.
Be sure to follow us on social media at @thevegancompass_podcast. See you next time.